Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to today's session on group discussions. We'll begin shortly. Please hear me. Are you able to hear me properly?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank
Yes,
you very much. And you're able to see the slides on the screen as well?
yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Today we'll be talking about group discussions, which, like interviews, are one of these things that we will have to do at some point or the other while we are trying to build our career. Group discussions, as you know, always happen in a group of at least 8 to 10 people. Okay. And you'll have this is like a guided discussion. This is not a random discussion, which you can take in any direction as you please. This is a guided discussion which will be undertaken under professional constraints. So, this session is simply intended to familiarize you with the proceedings of a group discussion so that you can take part in a GD effectively and excellently as and when it is required of you. So, the agenda for today's session is to see what a group discussion is, why we have group discussions, the types of GD topics, and the rules or instructions which we must bear in mind when we are trying to take part in a GD. There are different roles that a participant can play when he or she is participating in a group discussion. One of those roles is to be the leader of the GD. So, if you are leading a group discussion, then what are the things that you should bear in mind? And if you're participating in a group discussion, how is that different from leading a group discussion? Okay, so these are the things that we're going to be looking at today. To begin with, what is a group discussion? There are two kinds of GDs, broadly speaking. We are going to be talking about GDs that are undertaken as a part of job interviews or recruitment. These GDs are intended to test our interpersonal skills. How well do we deal with other people? Because we're never going to be working alone. We're going to be working as part of a team. So, how good are you at talking to others, at resolving conflicts, at negotiating, maybe? These are the things that we're going to be looking at in a group discussion that is part of the recruitment process. There is another kind of a group discussion which we will not be talking about today. That is the FGD or the focused group discussion. This is done as a part of market research or social sciences research. So, this is something that is typically done by researchers. And why do they do this? They do this in order to understand people's nature, thoughts, and motivations. Why do some people prefer a certain brand of toothpaste, let's say? Why do some people prefer to use a certain shampoo specifically? Or why do some people not like to use a certain product? These are some of the things that researchers try to assess through focus group discussions. So today we'll be talking about group discussions as a part of job interviews. Just give me 1 second. I'll rejoin you immediately. Okay, these group discussions are trying to assess our interpersonal skills, like we already discussed. How well are we at negotiating something with another person? How well do we work in a team? If there is a conflict between you and another person in your team, then how are you going to deal with it? A GD is also something that assesses your listening skills. This is not a talking competition, to be exact. This is something where we talk, but we also listen attentively and take in the inputs that the others in the group discussion, the others in the group are trying to put forward. So it's not just a matter of sticking to your opinions and articulating your stance on something. This is about being able to take in opposing perspectives and to reconcile yourself with those perspectives in a graceful manner, which is not something that you can do if you look at a GD as a talking competition. Unless you're able to listen attentively to what others in the group are saying, you will not be able to do well in a GD, in other words. Of course, talking is a key part of a GD. How good are you at crisply and clearly communicating your core message? And in order to talk well, you will also need some amount of knowledge, creativity, and spontaneity. Knowledge here does not mean in depth knowledge about something. You can address anything and everything that is leveled at you, that comes at you, any question that comes at you. No, that's not the idea. Rather, the idea is just to be able to speak effectively about a given topic and admit that you do not know everything about the topic because somebody else might know a lot more than you do. And that's not a problem in a group discussion, provided you're able to take in their inputs creatively as well as effectively. Spontaneity. It's a very underrated virtue, I feel. Spontaneity is when you're able to talk without a great deal of preparation. Sometimes you feel underprepared for some things in your life. However, if you're able to think on your feet and deal with that situation effectively, then you will be able to do well in a group discussion. You will be able to excel in a GD. Another intention behind a group discussion is for your recruiter to see whether you're a good fit with the company. A value fit is something that every recruiter is trying to look for in a prospective candidate. Are you the kind of person who prioritizes the same sort of things that the company prioritizes? Or are you somebody who has a different perspective entirely from whatever it is that the company is professing, right? So this value fitness is something that is very crucial in the process of hiring. Because if you're not a good value fit, regardless of how skilled you might be, you will not be able to perform well as a part of that organization. When you talk, whether you like it or not, you will reveal to your recruiter whether or not you are a good value fit. What is your perspective on something? That comes across very, very clearly when we talk. Sometimes even more than we would like. Sometimes we would like to lie, but our sentences, our speech reveals us. Okay? So a reading is something that you have to be careful about. You can't be careless in a GD. You have to be attentive in a GD. Now let's look at the broad different kinds of GD topics that we can have in a group discussion. Checking once again, you're able to see the slide on the screen completely?
Yes, well,
Okay. Any queries so far? Something you did not understand? Right. I trust that you've understood everything so far and you've proceeded. There are, broadly speaking, three kinds of GB topics: general topics, argumentative topics, and abstract topics. General topics are those topics which require a bit of general knowledge for you to talk about that topic. However, this topic will be rooted in a concrete reality. This will have something to do with the ground reality, things that are actually happening around you. That is why general knowledge is emphasized. Unless you know something about this, unless you have a broad idea about this, you will not be able to contribute to anything that is of value to the GDP. Small businesses are an important lifeline of India's cities and need to be supported more. That is a general topic. Why is it a general topic? Because you should know what a small business is and why it is important and why they should be supported. What are the different ways in which you could possibly support a small business? All of these are things that you should know in order to be able to address this topic very well. India lives in the heart of its 20 somethings. The young people are what uh, make India powerful or strong or lively. In order to say that, in order to speak on this topic, you should have some idea about the young people of India, what their aspirations are, how is it that they make our country so much stronger, what are their core strengths to speak of. Is this strength an untapped strength? Can we make better use of our young people? These are things that you should have some idea about in order to talk about it. That is why these topics are called general topics. Argumentative or debatable topics. These are topics which do not have a definitive yes or no answer. Rather, there are different perspectives that different people can have. So, in an argumentative topic, you're not saying this is right and this is wrong. Rather, you are saying your perspective on the topic is such and such. And then you're trying to uphold or give reasons for that specific perspective. Wow, Google Hacker has joined this meeting. What an innovative name, right? So, yeah, argumentative and debatable topics are specifically those topics which can lead to conflicts. Why? Because another person in the group can have something, a perspective that is completely different from yours, right? So if that person says something that is at odds with your own stand, then how do you respond to that person? Is the essential question here. Qualified professionals should look for opportunities in India instead of migrating abroad. This is an argumentative topic because there is no one right answer here. Different people will have different opinions. So you will be speaking about your stand on the topic. A university education is not worth pursuing in India today. Some people might say, yes, a university education is worth pursuing in India today. Some people might say, no, a university education is not worth pursuing in India today. You can learn whatever you want without going to university. So why are you going to a university in the first place? So there can be different perspectives which can lead to conflicts, and what different people bring to the table in a GD are their own perspectives. Clear? Now, the last kind of topic, last type of topic is an abstract topic. An abstract topic is a topic, just a second. Yeah, it's a topic that is not essentially concerned with the concrete ground reality. Rather, this is about ideas. You're not talking about something on the ground specifically, rather, you're talking about ideas. The opposite of concrete is abstract, right? The opposite of material is idea. You can say it, you can think of it in those terms. So while a general topic is talking to you around a concrete ground reality, an abstract topic is putting in front of you something conceptual, something that is purely in the form of an abstract idea which you can interpret in any way that you deem fit. For example, change is the only constant in existence. The topic is not specified what kind of change it is talking about. The topic is also not specified that you are only supposed to talk about a specific kind of change. The topic is not specified what kind of constancy it is referring to. So, as a participant in a GD, you are free to interpret what the topic is putting in front of you in your own terms and then speak about that. The grass is always greener on the other side. What grass? What green? This is something that is entirely metaphorical, purely ideational. There is nothing that is given to you as a concrete ground reality. This is entirely conceptual, and you're free to interpret the concept in your own terms so that you can speak about it. Clear? Any questions? Question? Somebody had a question? Yes, please.
Ma'am, India lives in the heart of 20 something. So, what is the meaning, ma'am?
Sorry, 20 somethings refers to people who are in the age group of 20s, their 20s. 20 to 30, I would say, 20 to 29 specifically, I would say. The young people. It's just a usage, 20 something, 21, 22, 23. So essentially, your age could be any of that. Broadly, as a category, you can say 20 something. Clear? Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Sorry, I keep muting myself. I apologize for that. Right. Now let's look at some sample topics. Too much thinking leads to the death of doing. What kind of a topic is that? Can somebody tell me? What kind of a topic do you think that is?
Maybe overthinking.
No, guys, we've got
Man,
three types of topics.
psychological.
Abstract, psychological, yes, but it is an abstract topic. Yes, it is overthinking, it is psychological, but on the basis of the schema that we've just discussed, it's an abstract topic. It's conceptual, right? It's a bit metaphorical, the depth of doing and all. It's a bit dramatic, a bit metaphorical, right? So this is purely conceptual. You're free to interpret it according to your perspective and then speak on it. The youth of India needs to focus on gaining skills more than knowledge. What kind of a topic is this?
General.
It is an argumentative topic, I would say. Why would I say that it's an argumentative topic?
Because
Because there
are
can be
because they are
different views.
taking skills and knowledge, ma'am.
There are different views. There isn't a single right or wrong answer here.
Yes,
Some
ma'am.
might say that yes, the young people should focus on gaining skills Too much of mugging up, too much of knowledge is not going to do them any good. But if they have the right skills, then they'll be able to excel in their careers, right? And they'll have their reasons for arguing in that manner. So this is an argumentative topic, a debatable topic. Companies should make working from office optional. What kind of a topic is this?
Argumentative.
Yes, ma'am.
Argumentative.
Argu-
Yes, argumentative or debatable topic. Once again, because there isn't a single right answer. The CEO might have one perspective on this. However, a fresher who has just joined the company will have a completely different perspective on this, right? And each perspective is a valid perspective. That is the idea here. Divestment of public sector companies is a good step for India. Divestment, you can think of it as the government stops owning that company, rather, they're opening up the company for public ownership. Rather, I should say private ownership, right? Yeah.
Debatable.
Argumentative.
It is argumentative, but don't you think it's also a general topic? Can you talk about this without knowing anything about this? Does it not require some amount of general knowledge to be able to speak about this topic? At least in a convincing manner? I don't know, maybe all of you guys have a lot of general knowledge, so you feel like I can talk about this any day. Is that what's going on? Right.
Ma'am,
So,
but ma'am, but little knowledge is required. We cannot talk about it without having a proper knowledge about how the system works or economy.
exactly. That's what I think too. It can be debatable, but it's also a general topic. Because unless you know how this works, you'll not be able to make a convincing argument about it. Right? That's what I was trying to point out. The brain drain has caused more harm than good for India. What kind of a topic is this?
Debatable.
Yes,
Debatable.
ma'am. Argument.
Yes, it is an argumentative topic, it's a debatable topic. The battle against climate change depends on the youth of the world. What kind of a topic is this?
Abstract.
Yes, ma'am. Abstract.
Abstract, I
Why?
guess.
Why is it abstract? You think climate change is conceptual? You don't think climate change is actually happening?
Youth may control it or extra.
Yes, depends on the youth of the world. Yes, that part can be argument. That can be, you can argue about that part. True, but how is it abstract? I would say it's more of a general topic which can be argumentative as well. Unless you know a little bit about climate change and the ways in which it can be countered, you cannot speak very convincingly about this topic. And some might say, no, the young people should not be made responsible for this, for fixing all the things that the older people have done. The older people should be made responsible for this. Some people might take that opinion, and then it can become debatable. Right? Is this very difficult, or do you get the general idea of what I'm trying to hit at here?
We get it.
You get it. Okay, I'm very glad to know that. So the important thing is not to know what category a topic falls into. The important thing is to just understand what the topic is trying to ask you so that you can speak effectively. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Now Google Hacker has left the meeting. I think he heard my comment and then grew self-conscious. Right. What are the rules that we should keep in mind when we... Yeah? Somebody had a question?
Yeah, can you explain the difference between general and argumentative topics?
General and argumentative topic. Not every general topic needs to be argumentative. But you know how humans are. We are generally argumentative, right? So the only point differentiating the two is that sometimes general topics can have a very clear yes or no answer. Like some things people will be in consensus about, right? Some things people will not be in consensus about. A general topic is any topic which you can speak convincingly about if you have a little bit of knowledge, a general knowledge about that topic. An argumentative topic is that topic which does not have a definitive yes or no answer. So each person will be talking or bringing to the table his or her own perspective on the topic. There can be an overlap, right? These can be intersecting sets. A general topic can also be an argumentative topic, though it need not always be. Is that clearer now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, what are the rules in a group discussion? Let's think about a 10-minute GD with 8 to 9 members in the group. Let's imagine there is a 3-member panel or a panel of judges, that is going to be listening to you while you participate in the GD. Initially, the 3-member panel or somebody from that panel will read out the case. A case is just the term that is used to refer to the topic of the GD. So the reading out of the case, let's say, might take 1 minute. And then after the case is read out, the leader of the GD will start to speak. Remember when I told you that there are several roles that we can take on when we're participating in a GD? One of those roles is that of the leader. One person will lead the GD, the others will participate in the GD. We'll see what the difference between the two roles as we go ahead in today's session. After the panel of the judges reads out the case, the leader will begin to speak. The reader speaks for 1 minute. The leader's speech will set the direction for further discussion. What does that mean? The reader will begin the conversation. This doesn't mean that the leader is going to hog the mic for himself or for herself. Can you give me a quick minute? I need a drink of water. I'll rejoin you in a couple of seconds.
Sure, ma'am.
Right. Thank you for that. The leader's speech will set the direction for further discussion, which means the leader shouldn't just keep the mic with himself or herself. The leader should set the context, speak for 1 minute, and then invite the rest of the group to speak. If the leader speaks only by himself, the leader does not invite other people's perspectives, then that is considered a poor performance. Regardless of how well the leader speaks, that is a poor performance. One person is the leader in an 8-member group. So we have 7 other participants. Each member speaks for 1 minute, turn by turn, right? After all the members have spoken, the leader again takes the mic in order to speak for another minute so that he can wrap up the discussion. And how does this wrapping up work? The leader does not introduce any new points, rather, the leader provides a quick summary of everything that has been discussed in the group discussion. What does that mean? If you're taking on the role of a leader, You should be able to listen to everyone else as well as recall the things that others have spoken about so that you can give a good summary. Clear? Now,
Yes, ma'am.
oh, that was a very sure yes. Thank you for that. What should you keep in mind when you are leading a discussion? Now, remember that a leader will get very little time to prepare his or her opening statement. So, you should listen very carefully when the case is being read out, and you should be able to quickly jot down what are the things that you would like to speak about in your opening statement. You should volunteer to start only if you have a meaningful point to say. You can start by saying, remember, this is a formal setting. You can't just, use very casual speech, very informal sort of speech. You should abide by certain formal codes of conversation. So you start by saying, may I start with the permission of the chair and the group? The chair here refers to the panel of judges. The group refers to your group. You're volunteering to start. You're starting your opening statement using this formal opening sentence, right? Then you state what the discussion today is going to be about. That is, this is sort of like a restatement of the case. Then you give a general opinion on the topic or your views on the topic. After giving the general opinion or your views on the topic, you set the direction for further conversation by saying, this general opinion can be countered as well as agreed with, and I would like to listen to the rest of my team to hear what their own takes on the topic are. So you are essentially handing over the mic, inviting the others to speak. You've started the conversation, set the dice rolling so that the others can chip in and add more value to this discussion. Throughout the discussion, you should take notes. Why? Because in the summary, you'll have to use these notes. In the summary, you're not required to add any new points. You're only required to wrap things up by summarizing. Remember, you don't have to know everything, but you should be able to facilitate the discussion. What does facilitating the discussion mean? Facilitating the discussion is making the others feel welcome to speak. For example, if I am going through this session in a monotone, largely this is a monotone, I understand that. But if I am only using a monotone, if I'm never asking you whether you have a question, if whether you have some kind of a doubt, if I'm not trying to involve you in the process at all, then I cannot be said to facilitate this discussion. I might be trying to talk to you, but I am not inviting anything further from you. So facilitating a discussion involves a two-way conversation. Is that clear?
Yes.
Right. Now let's look at what an effective opening in a group discussion consists of. We're having, right now, here we have a sample topic. Small business is an important lifeline of India's cities and need to be supported more. So let's imagine I am taking the lead in this discussion. When I am taking the lead, I begin with a formal statement. I would like to take the lead in this discussion with the permission of the chair and that of the group. I am volunteering to lead the conversation. What is the one thing that we saw earlier? If you're volunteering to lead the conversation, then you should have something meaningful to say. Something, right? So I'm saying the pandemic and the consequent lockdown had a very negative impact on small businesses in our country. I can also clarify what kind of small business am I talking about. Tea stalls, tiffin stalls, tailors, craftsmen, daycare services, beauty parlors. These are the kinds of small businesses that I'm talking about. Remote work is not really an option that is available for people employed in these small businesses. This is something that is only available for the middle and upper middle class people who can work from the comfort of their home, provided they have sufficient connectivity and technological know how, right? But for small businesses, that's not really an option. Given that is the case, what can we do to ensure that small businesses can be disaster resilient? What kinds of support systems can be conceived and installed? I'm looking forward to hearing everyone's views on this. Now, let's look at this opening statement in some detail. I began my speech using the proper formal codes of conversation. Then I stated the general case, the general situation, gave a little bit of clarity about the case itself. Then I asked a couple of questions which I did not answer. Instead, I invited other people in my group to pitch in with their views so that together we can answer these questions. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So, this is a very balanced sort of speech. I am not speaking too much, but I am setting the direction for further conversation. I am inviting the others in my group to answer some of the questions that I have raised in relation to the case. Not everyone in the group is going to be leading the GD. One person leads, the others participate. Do not think that participation is a less important role. It is not. Okay? But let's say the panel of judges have already read out the case, but nobody is coming forward. Nobody is taking an initiative to lead the discussion. That is a bad thing. If that is the case, then you should try to take initiative. Think about quickly think about one or two things that you would like to say, and then take initiative. Because nobody taking initiative is never a good scenario in a GD. You should be able to take initiative, but you should also be able to facilitate the discussion in the interest of the larger group. Let's say you have decided that you're going to lead the GD. Try to stick strictly to the central issue of the case or of the topic. Do not do not get sidelined. For example, from about a topic like small businesses, the one that we just discussed, there can be any number of perspectives, but stick strictly to this core issue at hand if you are trying to lead a GD, because you have very little time to speak. And your purpose here is to invite other people's opinions as well. Give a general layout of the topic. So the 2 to 3 points that you are raising here should be able to provide some clarity about the topic. should be able to raise some new questions about the topic. And after you've made these couple of points through your presentation, be sure to continue the discussion by inviting other people to speak. Pratik, you have a question?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, I have a doubt. Before the GD starts, we would have got some time to discuss with our team member, na? Like who will be taking the lead and that all thing.
Not necessarily. It does not necessarily have to happen that way. There can be cases where you are given the topic before the discussion itself is commenced, but there are also cases where discussion itself commences with the reading out of the script.
Ma'am, I think I was not able to make you understand my point. I was asking like, so, like now we have discussed about the small businesses. We have
Hmm.
got this topic. Then after that, we would be given some time, now like 2 to 3 minutes to discuss within the group, like who would take the lead and what points the others would say. Or for that also time is not given.
No, there is no time set apart for such a discussion. Once
Okay.
your case is read out, we are proceeding with the discussion, right? So you have
Okay.
to act. This is where spontaneity comes in. I'm very glad you raised that question in a way. Because let's say you're given time for everything. Let's say, right? You're given time for everything. If you're given time for everything, then there is no point to calling this a discussion. The point of a GD is for it to be spontaneous in some sense or the other. So after the case has been read out, you will need to rely on your spontaneity as well as creativity in order to guide the direction of the discussion without causing further conflict, right? So let's say three or
Okay.
four people have volunteered. That is where you have to show some restraint. In this situation, perhaps I should take a back seat, right?
Okay. I was
Let's
having
say
this doubt only. Suppose 2 to 3 people means thought that okay, I will lead. Then there would be
ah,
clash, no?
there will be a clash. In that case, you're supposed to act according to the situation. This is where your
Okay.
teamwork skills come to the test, right?
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
You're welcome. But let's say nobody is volunteering. In that case, you have the responsibility to raise your hand and take up the lead.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Just because somebody else has taken up a lead, it does not put you at a less in a less important position. That's something that you have to be very clear about. One person can lead, others do participate. Participating in a GD is somewhat trickier, I think. Leading is, in a sense, easier. If you know what you're going to talk about in those first couple of minutes, leading is going to be easier. However, if you're participating, then there is a way in which you'll have to accommodate other people's views. Somebody might have spoken before you, somebody might be speaking after you. So there is a way in which you'll have to um, construct your argument in relation to the other's perspectives. And this too will have to be done spontaneously. When you're participating, you need to limit yourself to a couple of main points. You can't speak about everything. You need to limit yourself to a couple of main points and you jot those main points down. Remember, you have a time limitation. You only have 1 minute to speak. So, in order to make a coherent argument, you'll have to limit yourself to a couple of main points. Then you structure your argument in mind. Make sure that you are beginning with a clear statement. Let's say this is an argumentative topic. My stance on the topic: is such and such. And then you can go on to give one or two reasons as to why you take that stance. Then you conclude by summarizing your stance and then open up the floor for further discussions. Not necessarily only for perspectives that are in agreement with yours. You can also say, yes, somebody has a perspective that is not in agreement with this, that goes against what I have said. I would like to keenly listen to that perspective, right? So you're not presenting yourself here as a close minded person. There isn't a greater peril in life or in GD than having a closed mind. You should have an open mind that can listen to another person's perspective gracefully with a lot of understanding and acceptance, right? So you're opening up new questions which can further guide the discussion, and that will be the conclusion of your 1 minute presentation. Let's look at a sample topic. You are the senior manager of a software firm. Last year, your company had initiated a fast track plan, a plan to speed up the company's development efforts and rapidly increase market lines by introducing one product into the market per month. While your R&D lab has been able to meet this monthly goal over the past 11 months, the quality of the products has suffered unmistakably. You're also unable to train employees fast enough to work efficiently, and almost all departments are overwhelmed. Moreover, since the sales and technical specialists haven't had time to develop the expertise needed to help buyers before the sale or support them after the sale, too many customers either buy the wrong product or buy the right product but then can't get knowledgeable help when they need it. Discuss this situation with your team members and plan the next course of action. This is a sample topic of a caselet. You are asked to imagine yourself in a specific situation. Remember, as soon as we get the case, especially when the case is such a long one, you should be immediately able to grasp the main points, the core issues in that case. So look at the things that have been underlined here. What are the problems? There is a fast track plan, but the problem here is the quality of the products is suffered. R&D lab has been able to meet the monthly goal, but the manufacturing has suffered. Another problem is unable to train employees fast enough. Another problem is you haven't had sufficient time to develop sales and technical specialists in your team. Therefore, very little customer support. So all in all, this is a mess. How can you fix this mess? What are some of the things that you can do in order to fix this mess? What I want you to notice here is how quickly you are able to note down the core issues in the case. Because you're going to be anchoring your own speech on these core issues. Now, would somebody like to take the lead with this discussion? Let's imagine ourselves in this discussion. Would somebody like to take the lead? Anybody can take the lead. Open floor. First come. Yes, Pratik wants to take the lead. Go on, Pratik.
Respected chair and the group team members, I would like to bring attention towards the recent problem that our fast track plan that we have made is suffering because of the quality of the products are sorry because quality of the product has suffered unmistakably. We were also unable to train our employees fast enough as the new technologies are coming. and for the same reason the sales and technical specialist also doesn't have the time to develop their expertise, because of which our customers are not satisfied and can't get the right product, and if they get, they are not able to use it to its fullest. I would like to discuss with my team members about the solution for this problem.
Okay, that was a very good opening statement, Pratik. Thank you very much for that. My only suggestion would be maybe you can add a little more content to it, right? Towards the end, you can ask. So I would really like to listen to the opinions that my team members have about this fast track plan. Is it something that is unrealistic? Do you think we should get rid of the plan entirely? Or do you suppose this is the way forward, provided we're able to fix the challenges that we are facing? If there are some creative inputs which can solve these problems, I would really like to listen to those creative inputs. You are just kind of taking it a little bit forward, opening the door, let's say. Clear?
Okay, ma'am. I will keep this mind for the next
Okay.
time.
Thank you for that. Very good opening statement, Pratik. So I think you've got the broad idea here. You have a very good understanding of what it's like to have a GD topic read out to you, what it's like to take the lead in that discussion, etc. I hope. Right. Any questions, any concerns that you have? Usually, everybody has a concern about the recording every session. Nobody has that concern. Right. So I shall address that concern just in case somebody does have that concern in their mind. Recordings are being made. The recording will be made available to you in the YouTube playlist for the course after the conclusion of the workshop sessions. The PPT will also be made available to you. The PPT you can find the PPT under the supplementary contents, the supplementary materials tab in your dashboard. Dashboard, I believe. Yes. Anything else? Anything else that you would like to clarify? Nothing. All good. Okay. So we'll stop for today then. Thank you, everybody, for joining today's session. I hope you'll be here tomorrow as well, when we'll probably get to speak some more, have more of a conversation about how a GD should happen, how it should progress, etc. Right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much, Mayur.
You're
Thank
welcome.